Greetings and welcome, everyone. It's All You Can Geek Gamecast, episode 446. I'm one of your hosts, Jim Gast, joined by Mike Sneedy.
What's up?
Corey Feinsod.
Gotta go fast.
And Tony Korkanakis.
Pika Pika.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers, to 446 of the Gamecast. We have a topic tonight we're going to give a evaluation of where we think the gaming industry is at for this episode. I know E3 is coming up. What's left of it. But we want to give I'm kind of looking at, the current console situation, the PC situation, Steam, Epic Store, the whole thing of the gaming, this generation of gaming, how it's changed and what we're looking forward to, and how we think it's gone. So it's a pretty big topic. But first, let's get into what we've been up to. I can say that I have not had as much time to play any games this week, so I don't have to lead us off with Sekiro hate stories of me getting killed a lot. So unfortunately, nothing there for me. Mike, how about you?
It's just been Mortal Kombat 11 mostly.
Yeah. How is that? How's that been with progress for that?
It's good. It's a little bit the souls and the hearts, the second two currencies, are sort of difficult to come by, but you got to just go into the towers and do them, and then you go through this loop of doing the Towers of Time, which is the randomly generated temporary ladders where you have objectives, different you can do boosts to give you an advantage, and you get a bunch of stuff unlocked when you do that. And then once you get some currency, you can go back into the crypt and unlock things and get scared every now and then. So you go back and forth.
Still getting scared from that.
I know everything, but I'll still be when it happens, I'll still get a jolt because it's just how it is. It's a little annoying, but I'm used to it now. It's not scary anymore. It's just ugh. It's kind of funny sometimes too, but it is interesting, the crypt, because it's there's actual puzzles in there. You got to bring keys to the right spaces. You got to set things up a certain way sometimes, break through invisible doors, stuff like that. So there's a lot to it, and I appreciate that it's practically its own mini game. I guess it's kind of like a small game. But it is a little much sometimes when you just want to have your brutalities all unlocked. And I still I haven't gotten into the gear for the characters like I did in Injustice. Now there's less of it, and I don't care as much what these Mortal Kombat characters look like compared to iconic DC characters, but it's still in there. And then I've also started to play online against people now. And what I do like about this compared to some of the older NetherRealm games is they have an option where there's no gear bonuses like there were in Injustice, where if you have certain gear, it completely makes you overpower compared to someone else. None of that really exists, but you do have the option in at least the casual 1v1 mode to sort of choose your build, because there's a bunch of optional moves you can choose for the character. And I like that. So then it's not completely broken, but it is your own sort of style and character that you're taking to other people. So I enjoy that a bit. But the thing is, even online, the currency counts. So you have the incentive to always do a fatality or brutality or a mercy, which is really trolly. A mercy is if you win the round and then you do a certain input, they get a little amount of life back, and the fight continues. But more often than not, you do that when you have no fear of your opponent whatsoever. So it's probably the trolliest thing you can do, but it's pretty funny when it happens. So it's still pretty good. I just got to get those hearts and souls.
Yeah. All right. All right, Corey, what have you been up to?
Not too much. There was actually a event in Dragalia Lost, the iOS game. Fire Emblem crossover. Yeah, so they had Fire Emblem characters come over, and you could get them to play. You could get a couple of them. But I think the main dude from the iOS game is in it, and a couple of the characters from that game show up, and you can actually get marked and stuff to play in this game. So I got a couple characters. I spent a shit ton of my currency to try to get them, but I only got one. And then they give you one for free. So I got had the 2, but so it's fun. I still enjoy that game. It's a good time waster now and then when you have standing in line or waiting for something. It's just quick and easy, and they've made it like so much easier to just blow through the stuff. So like you can put it on autoplay basically. So you go into like one of the dungeons and it just does it for you, and you can set the speed. You can like 2 times it, so it's just like
what
speeds it through. And it still like goes through and gets all the chests and stuff.
Would you like to see that in like Diablo or Borderlands, or just like, you know what? Like, here you go. Like,
I think it's a little different when you're like playing on iOS compared to playing like on a controller or something like that. But as far as like with this, it's because like there's no real value in not doing it in certain situations. They also added a new mode where it's kind of like a tower defense style, because they wanted to have a Fire Emblem-esque style mode, I think. So like I said, it's good. They do a great job of making it where you don't really need to pay for anything. Like they give you plenty of the currency. It definitely feels like it's very generous in that sense.
Oh yeah, it's funny because who makes that? Is it Side Games or
Side Games? Yeah.
It's funny. Their I think president or somebody keeps trying to throw Nintendo under the bus for their fiscal results, because they're like, oh, well, we're not making this money off of Dragalia Lost because Nintendo wants us to not be assholes about like drop rates and monetization. Meanwhile, he's like trying to support this like, I don't know, like TV service shit that's like draining the money of the company and stuff like that. But I just think it's funny, like he's actually been quoted as saying, well, we could use more aggressive monetization models in Dragalia Lost. It's like, man, you're a scumbag. But,
yeah, no, but it's a good balance where it's at right now, I feel, because I've only paid stuff because I felt like they deserve some money for how much time I put into it. So that's really it. I mean, other than I did get back into Destiny a little bit, and there is a really nice quest that they surprise people with, which is cool.
I was this weekend I was helping my brother at his house because he's probably putting his house in the market, and so we're refinishing his whole yard, and my friend Johnny was there, who has an Xbox and is friends with you, and he's like, man, he's like, can I ask you something? I'm like, what? He's like, what does Corey do play Destiny constantly? Like every time I'm on there, he's on Destiny, and he's like, what does he do in that game? I'm like, I don't know. He loves the game, man. He gets a lot out of it. He's like, I'm like, and in a few months, all you'll see is Borderlands 3.
Not wrong.
It's no, I'm not. I'm like, and he's laughing. I'm like, I'm not even joking with you, man. You're gonna see just Borderlands 3 that constantly. So
I'm surprised he's not playing the remake again, or the.
I have been.
I know.
Yeah. Tony, what have you been up to?
Game playing, not much. League of Legends. It's their mid-season event thing, so I'm playing a lot of that just because you can like grind for tokens to redeem for like exclusive skins and other bullshit. So I'm like, okay, there's that. And then I watched Overwatch League at the stage finals, which super impressive. The top 2 teams this stage.
Top 2 last stage too.
I know, dude. It was such an anime like arc because like the winner, like the top 2, the one team won, and then this stage again, the top 2. But the other team came back to like usurp them, so it's just like,
and that was their first loss the entire.
Yeah. The one team, like the Vancouver Titans, is their first loss in the entire season. So it's like pretty ridiculous. It's like like 16 straight wins or something like that. Yeah, something ridiculous.
16 or 17 straight wins that they had.
Cool.
Crazy, pretty ridiculous.
Awesome.
But,
All right.
Meanwhile, NYXL like lost Atlanta twice. How the fuck that happens? Atlanta had like 3 wins in this man. There's 2 against.
Dude, that Achilles heel, man. Sometimes just like, well, shit.
it's in their heads now. Joke artists. So, all right. Let's get into some gaming news then. So this Call of Duty did not have a campaign mode, right?
Not last year.
So they have brought in ex-Naughty Dog developers to help with the campaign mode in the new Call of Duty.
It's so funny. It's like, because they're developers at a company that's known for great stories, it's like, oh, these guys know how to do story. Like,
I'm just saying, like,
who knows? Are they writing the story? Or are they just coding stuff?
Specifically helping with the Call of Duty campaign, though.
Yeah. Well, they've not said that some years they'll have the campaign and other years they won't.
Okay. I just felt like it was weird to not have it, then suddenly bring in people to work specifically on the campaign. Like, it's not an afterthought. They really want to spend time on it.
Different studios also. I mean, they have 3 different studios that do Call of Duty.
Yes, right. This one's going to be...
And so one of them decided not to do it. The other one's...
This is the Modern Warfare team, right? Is that what we're hearing?
Plus, I'm sure like there has to be some like attrition if it's like all you're doing is releasing Call of Duty that's only multiplayer year after year after year.
Oh,
At some point, you're just gonna be like, well, this is my favorite. I don't want to ever play another one. Like, you know.
Yeah, I know. So I heard Modern Warfare 4 is the new one coming this year, I think. So that's a big name for them. All right. Other news we got.
It's funny because Call of Duty 4 was Modern Warfare, and now it's Modern Warfare 4.
Yeah.
It should be called Modern Warfare 4, like Future Duty or something like that.
Future Duty is right.
All right. Let's see. You got projection from Nintendo that thinks believes it will sell 18 million Switches this year. That's another thing that came out from Nintendo. Did they do 20 last year? Was that their?
No, they actually
because they upped it. I thought
they upped it to 20, but then they revised down to 18. I want to say.
Okay.
And they actually hit 17.9.
So they're still sticking with their 18 this year.
Yeah. And I think they'll be able to hit it. I mean, with Pokemon, the revision.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. With a Pokemon game, you'll get that no problem.
Yeah.
So. All right. Let's see. They have their E3 time Nintendo Direct coming up on my birthday, June 11th.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. So I get to hopefully see some. Let's see, Fire Emblem. I'm thinking I'm looking forward to Fire Emblem this year from that. Hopefully this year from them and Pokemon. Being a fan of Pokemon who hasn't played in years, it'd be kind of cool to get me back into that. So, but I think the big news from this week was their Ultimate Alliance details because we had it last week a little bit during the podcast, but we didn't have a lot of the detail. Like I didn't know a lot of those details yet, and so I got to see a lot of these videos. And I'm actually psyched for this game. It looks very much like the older games. It looks a lot better, cleaned up than what they showed for the first preview of it. And I like the cast. I mean, they're really going comic book cast, not just like these are the characters in our movies. These are who we want in the game. You're getting all kinds of characters in this.
Infinity, whatever it was.
Yeah, and it wasn't. That's what I was afraid it was going to be in this game. I was afraid they're going to neglect the other characters. Like, I know they own the Fantastic Four now, but this game was obviously in development way before that. And you have Ms. Marvel. I saw gameplay. I actually watched Game Informer's minute demo of the game with Groot and Rocket.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
I started watching that, but then I felt like, I don't want to see the entire first part of this game.
No, I mean, that's why I watched really of it, because I mean, it gives you a taste. It lets you know, okay, this game is very similar to the original game. The second one I wasn't a huge fan of, but this one seems very close to that original. Like, I really can't wait. The only thing I'm worrying about is like character unlocks and progression for it. I really want it to be big because I want to play this game a lot. You know what I mean? I want to play.
I mean, that was the part they're saying is that like even though you clear missions, like you can come back, you're encouraged to actually come back, kind of like the tower or whatever, where it's like
Diablo style.
Diablo style, where it's like, oh well, now you play as a different character and focus on like getting like the loot and there's RPG elements with like your team. Like there's I forget what they call it, but it's like a grid system where it's like you can unlock perks and buffs and whatnot.
Yeah,
to customize your team. So I think that's pretty cool.
It's interesting to me. My fears about it are, it does seem almost like this could have came out 2 years after Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. Like it feels like it's a sequel that could have happened like 10 years ago almost. I don't know. I just get a lot of almost too samey vibes from the last one. But
sounds like Borderlands complaints there, bud. It's like,
I mean,
it's understandable.
I'm waiting for this game kind of for like a decade, and I'm like, all right, let's get a modern Ultimate Alliance, and I don't feel like it's super modern in a few ways, but we'll see. I hope
all I need to do is take Ultimate Alliance and bring it up to 2019 standards, just like Borderlands is doing with their game.
That's what I kind of don't know if.
But that's what they had to do for the second one, and they kind of didn't make it as fun.
Yeah, I know they took, and I'm seeing some things that remind me more of the second one, which is what gives me a little hesitance. But
I have guarded optimism about it. I'm guarded optimism.
I'm voicing my concerns because I feel myself being more excited than I want to be about the game. Because I know there are aspects that could disappoint me, but I'm just like, there's no way I'm not going to get this at this point.
Same here.
Unless it like releases to like 2 scores or something.
Like a 2.
yeah, I'm probably gonna get this game. So
my pause would be if it gets like a 6. I might wait for it to drop in price before I get it. But like,
When is it
that's
coming
about
out?
it.
July, second week of July, like a week right after Far From Home.
It's wide open there too. It's right in the middle of summer. We're gonna be hungry for games then too.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a game we
A
can
lot of
all
free
play
time.
together too.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, as soon as I get my Switch connected online, because I haven't done that yet.
yeah, it's so cheap. So, all right.
Oh, real quick before we move on. In the I don't know. Game Informer is doing like this weird, like I don't know, like daily whatever. But one thing I thought was cool is actually Nintendo went to Marvel before the Switch even came out. They're one of the first studios to actually know about the Switch, and they're like, "So we want a Marvel game," and they're like, "Okay, well, what do you think?" And they're like, "Well, how about Ultimate Alliance? Like, you're not doing anything with that." And they're like, "Well, okay," and they're like, "All right, cool, we'll do that." And then Nintendo shopped around, and they have a really good working relationship with Koei Tecmo, and they're like, "Hey, Koei Tecmo, you want to do Ultimate Alliance?" They're like, "All right, sure." So I thought it was really cool, like just kind of like, here's a franchise that you guys don't use. Let's
That was
I mean, again, like I played the old ones. What was that, like a year ago?
Yeah,
All of them in succession. It's kind of weird that I did that now that I think of it. Yes. And again, every one of those games, there was some aspect that I liked. The only thing I liked in Ultimate Alliance 2 was the fusion moves, and I know that's in this game, so that's good. But
that sounds awesome, like Ultimate Finishers kind of thing.
They have like a next step to it too here, which sounds cool. I'm curious about what local options multiplayer wise there will be if you can.
It's drop in, drop out.
What do you mean?
Multiplayer, like couch co-op. You can drop into the game.
Is that confirmed? Because I read all this stuff about
I thought Game Informer. Yeah, I thought their video said that. Actually, I'm almost certain. Yeah. Almost certain. Like 99.9% certain they said that in that
video. That's good. And I'm also I don't know. I liked some of the heavier RPG elements of like X-Men Legends 2, where each character had specific gear that would change. I don't know if we're gonna get that deep into it. I don't
think we'll get that.
It doesn't look like it here, but
no, it doesn't look like that. But
I would like to see at least different uniforms or something that can like have certain buffs and
I think that'd be cool.
like that, because that was in I think the first Ultimate Alliance. But we'll see. I mean, I just want it to be more.
More, yeah, exactly.
Not just like I know. I mean, I just don't want it to be like, oh, this is something that we haven't had a lot. Let's just bring it back. I want it to be back and more.
Yeah. All right. And lastly, in the news, we had the state of play from Sony last week. They're still kind of finding
There's a couple other things that I think we probably should talk about too.
News? What else news did I miss?
Well, Last of Us is gearing up to get into crazy hours, crunch time.
Oh, they're crunch time now?
Basically, I think this game is coming out this fall.
It's looking more likely now.
Yeah, it does.
So like, what did they say? Basically, The Last of Us, they're in their final stages right now, and they're gearing up to work like 14, 15-hour days.
Again, back to our topic last week about needing some union there for protection, but yeah. So what else?
So that's coming. Well, Ghost Recon.
Oh, Ghost Recon. See, the Ghost Recon. What was it called again?
Breakpoint.
Breakpoint. Yeah,
it's the thing with John Bernthal.
And it's gonna have a raid, and it's gonna be online play only, so you have to have an internet connection.
Yeah, it's interesting that announcement last week. I forgot to put that on here. I did see that come out. I just Well, I forgot about it. I don't know. It just doesn't. Ghost Recon. It reminds me like they have their Division game. And it kind of seems like, they have that. I mean, Ghost Recon's a slower paced game than Division, even than Division.
Yeah.
So
I'm just like, where's Splinter Cell?
It's coming. It's coming. I bet you E3 we get something from at Xbox at the Microsoft thing. So that's my prediction. I'll have. State of Play has. They're still getting their footing for this stuff. They're still learning. Like the Nintendo Direct style, I think there's this a little more soulless right now. Do you get that vibe? Like, I just feel like there's not. I don't know. It seems very short, very brief.
Fun,
yeah. But so they showed us Monster Hunter World, the expansion Iceborne, which is coming out September 6th. Which I knew it was Monster Hunter like right away. It looks okay. I mean, it's fine. They had a Predator game that got shown that sounds very much like it's a 4-player. No, yeah, but what was the other one? Evolve, thank you. That's what I'm thinking of, where someone plays the monster, the predator, and then 4 other people play the humans that are hunting it. So or they're back and forth.
Friday the 13th did that. I think it's probably gonna be more like that game or Dead by Daylight or whatever those games are. It's like you have a monster and everybody's super weak against it, and you're just trying to survive.
Yeah. We got a announcement for Riverbond, which is like a 2D old style, like top down kind of game, which has a lot of cameos. Like it's got Shovel Knight, Guacamelee, the guy from Enter the Gungeon. He's in it. I mean, they have a lot of cameos in this game. Coming this summer to PS4. It looks like a crazy game. Huh?
What type of game is it?
It's like a top-down like action game. 4-player co-op. It's a dungeon crawler basically, but it looks very fast-paced and it looks like a Gauntlet style game. I mean, it does, but with like a pixel art kind of thing. Looks kind of like Minecraft almost, but with these characters in it. So it looked cool.
Yeah.
So we had an away trailer. I don't know what that away trailer is. I didn't see that part. What else we have? Oh, Medieval, the remake for that, which looked really good. Like, did a good job remaking that game. That's a complete overhaul of that game. Now, I remember that game being very challenging.
Does anybody? I remember not playing that game.
Okay. Yeah, Medieval.
No, I never played it.
It looks,
the character design looks so weird to me.
Yeah, it does, but it just looked. I remember playing a little bit of it in the store when I was working there, and like it was very, very tough, if I remember right. So interesting. Obviously, the big news that they announced was Final Fantasy Remake. It's still in production. Yeah, still in production.
That there's going to be more announcements on June 20th.
Look for it at E3.
But they did show gameplay.
They showed it. Looks like they said it was going to be all action gameplay, like action gameplay, where it's not their old style where it's like.
It's not turn-based.
Well, it wasn't turn-based then. It was changing from turn-based to.
It looks to be more like Final Fantasy 15.
Yes, it does look like that. Where this instead of like it looked like real-time action was the old one, where it was like you could still, if you didn't do anything, the enemy would still attack you. If I remember right, you had the timer. If I remember right, I don't know, but this one looks like it's just completely like free-form action-based. Like you said, Final Fantasy 15. So it looks good. Graphically, looks really good. I just don't know if this game's coming out until 2026.
It's still going to be broken up in
episodes.
It's still going to be episodic.
Yeah.
So you think PS5 launch?
I do think it'll be out in a couple of years.
PS5 launch.
Yeah, I think it'll be on PS5.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be on all of them also.
Yeah. Okay. It'll be cross-gen. So, all right. And that's about it from their state of play. Let's call it direct. So,
I mean, do you think that they're adding like some of the Vita game into this? Because like, there's a lot of stuff that was in that Vita game that took place during Final Fantasy VII.
I don't know. I think we're just going to get a remake. I mean, episodic.
I mean, if you're doing episodic and you're adding, you're not. I don't think you're just doing a straight up remake. I think you're adding stuff.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be nice.
So it's like Final Fantasy VII, the game adaptation.
Yes. Will it ruin the source material?
It's funny because I joked around. I joked about that with the streamer I watch. I was like, I hope they just like totally reverse it and like this character does instead of this character. And it's like, what? I'm like, well, give me something new. Like I don't want to retread the entire like story. Like,
yeah.
Speaking of which, and this applies to both podcasts, but apparently the James Wan Mortal Kombat movie is now like greenlit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did see that. All right, and that's it for the news. So our topic tonight is the state of this current generation, which is coming to an end. So we want to, kind of give us our opinions of what you thought could have been better. It's still got a little while yet, but it'll go on even after the PS5 and the next Xbox. Because that's a tongue twist. Next Xbox come out.
Next box.
The next box. But so we've gotten VR this generation. We've gotten.
Have we?
Sort of. We have gotten VR. PlayStation VR is out there, and they haven't dropped it. Give Sony some credit. I really expected them to drop that, and they didn't. And that's why I got rid of mine. So it's like, I don't know. What do you guys feel overall about this generation so far? Like, do you like where it's been? I mean, we got the Switch, which has scratched an itch I didn't know I had. And we've gotten the Xbox One X, in my opinion.
Are we including the Switch in this generation?
Yeah, it's hard to include it. It's like
I don't know. Well, I feel like they're going to rehash. I feel like they're going to do a mid upgrade for this at some point, and it's like I don't know. If you're right, I don't know.
What generation is the Switch?
They're always on their own. I mean, that's the thing with the Wii U and the Wii. It was like they're kind of in their own release point, like in between like consoles being end of life and coming out new ones.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily. I mean, we launched against the PlayStation 3 in 2006.
Yeah,
Xbox
then,
was a 360 was a year ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just pulled what Microsoft's Xbox original Xbox only had a 4-year life cycle because they're like, fuck it, we're losing too much money on this. Let's just release a 360, get a jump start on the PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, the Wii was the one that actually was the dominator for most of that gen. But then, in 2012 is when Wii U launched, 6 years after the Wii, which is actually a little bit longer than typical. It's just that the PlayStation 3 and 360 lasted even longer than projected. I mean, they didn't launch until 2013.
Yeah, they did. That was a long cycle, and this generation obviously is not going to be as long as the last one. But I mean, we've gotten some good games this generation. We got SpiderMan. Some of the Sony IPs, like the single player stuff we've gotten this generation, has been fantastic.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing: the first half super disappointing.
Yeah, it was
pathetically disappointing.
I called the generation of delays. Remember? Yeah. I mean, I was on that like never coming out in time every game. Yeah. It seemed like they had no idea what they were doing with games at this point.
Oh, it definitely started very slow. Like we were waiting at least 2 years, it felt like, for real next gen games to come out. It felt like everything was just sort of a port for a while.
Yeah, we were getting a lot of remasters.
Yep, and I was getting games just because I was like, well, I guess. I mean, why not? Like, I bought Dragon Age Inquisition after I swore off BioWare, and I was like, what? I'll give them one more chance. Dragon Age could be different. And not that Dragon Age was on the level of Mass Effect 3, but it was just like, not for me anymore. Totally done with them. I picked up Dying Light just because, I was like, well, first of all, there's a price glitch on GameStop. But I was like, oh, well, you know what? I need something else to play on my PlayStation. Sure, I'll get that. But yeah, the first 2 years were, in my opinion, absolutely dismal.
Yeah. It was pretty bad. We had the Xbox was a mess. Remember the interface? That was horrible.
I never owned an Xbox. So.
Kinect. The problem was Kinect.
You forget also. Remember the friend thing was broken. Friends were broken.
Well, Kinect really just destroyed the Xbox, and like everything was centered around the Kinect and how you were going to use the Kinect to basically control your Xbox, and that just was a total fail. And as soon as they got rid of that and were able to like free up resources to not like focus on Kinect, then things started to get better. Yeah,
I mean, they're still broken the way they install games and play games. That's still affected this generation. That's something they need to address next generation. But they had, like I said, they had a completely broken interface besides that too. Like remember party chat was just not working. There was no party chat when you first started. And that you had to chat within games. And that's like you went backwards from 360, which was a very good operating system at that point, to this. Now they've tweaked it, but I still feel like the interface that they have is still a product of what they designed it off of from the beginning. And I think they need a lot of work to do with that interface. I really do. I mean, it's gotten better. Obviously, don't get me wrong.
Well, it's very like Windows 10 based.
Yeah, and then I know that's what they like to do.
I wouldn't even say Windows 8. I would say
Windows 8. The Metro style, whatever they called it.
Yeah.
But it's all about the tiles and the pinning those things. So it's whatever. It's definitely much better. I think as far as the last few years, or 2 years at least, have been fantastic. We got a lot of innovation, I think, as far as that Microsoft introduced an adaptive controller in their systems and like VR, and like we said,
we got the Pro controller announced. I mean, that was the Pro controller came out. This the Elite, the Xbox Elite,
the Elite controller.
That was awesome.
I mean, there's like a lot of good that happened this year, and like you mentioned before, with the single player Sony games, Horizon, God of War.
It's funny because one of the narratives this whole generation was kind of the death of single player, but it's come out with some of the best big single player games of recent history of my memory of all time, really.
I mean, Horizon was great. I mean, we got God of War got us to play it. And I don't play God of War games, and Tony played. And we all played that game.
God of War, Horizon, Spider-Man, even things that the early ones that were maybe not great. They were still like for me, Arkham Knight was still a great game. It was one of the first ones that I liked on this system. And so there was kind of a lot of single player stuff, even though everywhere else there's trends going otherwise, but this generation had a little bit of both, that more maybe than we even thought or noticed.
Mhm.
The negative things, I would say, for one, this is the first generation where we have to install everything, and I guess that's just how it has to be now. But
with the size of games now, with graphics and worlds, not a disc can't hold
4K
that.
freaking assets.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be able. You have to download that stuff. There's
I mean,
no
the
question.
Borderlands 4K assets were like 20 gigs.
I honestly, like that reminds me of something looking forward, going forward. Data caps. I mean, is that going to be a problem in the next generation?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's where it comes in, and that whole net neutrality thing, which went on during this whole thing. It's like it's something that there could be a problem there.
And that's one thing that I worry about going to the next. Well, one of the things, but a lot of things going into next generation is we remember how bad the beginning of the last one was, and that was after like an 8-9 year generation before that. This time, so we got like a year and a half, maybe, we think, for the next gen systems, and this hardware is selling pretty well. It still looks healthy. I just hope they're prepared better the beginning than they were last time, or else I would be fine waiting like 3 years instead, but I know that's not going to happen. I just am wondering, should we wait 3 years?
I think it's going to be a little different just because of the fact that you're going to have backwards compatibility out of the gate, and most of your games that you're going to be playing on your new systems are probably going to be PS4 and Xbox One games.
I mean, that's the thing. Like we finally got that backwards compatibility. I mean, from Microsoft at least, and we're going to get that with the PS4 from what I'm getting. Yeah, yeah. So
we'll see. I mean, I'll believe it kind of when I see it. Still, with this next gen, I know there's lots of promises going that way, but I'm not sure what the incentive would be for them to do it.
They got to do it to be competitive. I mean, Microsoft's doing it because they're building their.
It's not even being competitive with each other, more PC. Because like PC, you're playing a game on your PC and you play it whatever game from 10 years ago you want to play, you can play it. So.
Yeah, I mean, the PC side of things is something that obviously I don't game PC. Tony does, but I mean, you have the Steam and the Epic Store now, which is taking over, and people are pissed. And like that's going to be future. I know, it's just another launcher, but it's all launcher based now in games. I remember like you used to just install the games and play them. Now it's like you have to use a launcher to get these games to run.
Yep.
It's completely different.
I'm old enough to remember when people were pissed that you had to download Steam to get your game. It's like, what? I don't want a fucking launcher. I just want to install my game and play it. And this is like people don't even know that anymore.
Yeah. So I just feel like there's a lot of new that came from this generation, not including Steam, obviously that's been around, but that, like Corey said, backwards compatibility needs to be a thing going forward for the consoles, the home consoles, because that's a value that they can offer people for free by just throwing it in there.
The other thing I would look forward to, now if you want to talk about that more, go ahead.
Wait, Tony, did you want to say? I don't know if you want to say something more for that.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, I mean, for me personally, it's weird because, I only got a PlayStation 4 like a year after launch, and it's because like I took advantage of like some ludicrous GameStop promotion where I was getting like 80% credit of what I paid for a game. So it's like, well, yeah, sure. Like I don't give a shit about these games right now. And like for months, all I was playing was the free PlayStation Plus games because I didn't give a shit about whatever was out. And Xbox, I didn't get until just a few months ago, again, due to some ridiculous price promotion from both GameStop and Microsoft combined. So it's kind of weird for me because like I just remember, I guess I just feel, I don't know if it's nostalgia, but like the 360 was such a good system. Like I still have vivid memories of like getting Dead Rising, like Halo 3 with you guys, like whatever, like all these games. And they were just coming out constantly, and like that was what really brought like that whole like party chat. Like that was one of the cool things. I love being able to like play my own game, hop on party chat. Like we'd be playing separate games, but we could like still talk and chill and whatever. I was like, man, this is the future. The future is now.
I mean, every one of us playing games in party chat, but all playing something different was just so cool. Like that was awesome. Yeah,
it was so cool, and like I just feel like I don't know, maybe. From PS2 gen to PS3, it was such a huge leap that like from PS3 to PS4, I was like, a little disappointed. And I
Well,
feel
there
like
hasn't.
always we went backwards.
Everybody always said there wasn't
Not compatible, but
you know, I think I was expecting more from games, even though I knew that we were getting older hardware that PC was already past. I think with that, I mean, these old, if you remember, 360 had 256 megs of RAM or 512. I can't remember megs of RAM. And now you're into the.
I don't think it was 512. I think it was.
I was thinking it was 256.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
I think maybe they put in like more later versions.
So
well,
you're like
asked them to. I remember that for
yeah.
War.
You're dealing like I know that's the thing. I think they did 512 later, and you're dealing with like I think they opened with 4 gigs of RAM in these the new consoles, or was it 8? It was 8 gigs of RAM, right? Or was it in PS4? PS4 has 8 or 4? I can't remember.
I want to say 4, but I
want to say
remember.
I don't remember, but you're dealing with so much more memory compared to what they had. Just loading memory, the quick memory. That's what RAM is, and it's just quick access. And I just feel like load times got worse.
There are 8 gigs of DDR3.
Yeah. Load times got worse this generation than last gen. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just the product of the time, but I don't feel like the
worse. I booted up my 360 for Borderlands reasons.
Oh, okay. I just feel like I just know that like I mean, I really hope the next generation, which Sony's promising, is the load times is where we start to see a difference, and I think that's something they could show us. Like graphically, I think we've reached a point where we're not going to see a huge difference.
That SpiderMan thing, right?
Yeah,
15 seconds. Or
15 seconds.
Half a second.
So that's what I mean. Like we've graphically reached a point where differences between generations isn't going to be great. You're not going to have that huge leap anymore. But if you could load a game in like 15 seconds that used to take 30 seconds, double it. Even half the time. It's unbelievable.
Well, they were saying something that's 15 seconds going to take a second.
I know. I know. But even if you have that. So plus then you also have then pop-up like in games gone, like fogs, which still is there in this generation. Just draw distance. It's there. Like you can get rid of all of that with loading, that fast of loading. You know what I mean? It's incredible what you can do with that. And I think that's where we go with this. And I think this generation, I felt like that was where they didn't focus on. I feel like there was a lot of games that weren't optimized properly in terms of their loading. I don't know. I really feel like that. But if I'm remembering right.
Yeah. I mean, they don't optimize, unfortunately. I'm trying to think who was it that made Ratchet and Clank?
Is that Insomniac?
That was Insomniac, I think.
Yeah. They said at the PS3 generation, they did this study where basically, like, they're like, would you like our games to have better graphics, but like worse frame rate, or for our games to have solid, better frame rates and less graphics? And all the data that they compiled basically showed that like consumers overall like just didn't give a fuck about the frame rate. They're like, we just want pretty graphics. And like,
it was a lesson learned. I mean, it was a lesson learned.
And it's one of those things where like it's unfortunate, like, and maybe now finally is the time where it's like, yeah, we squeeze this graphics shit as much as we can, and like, yeah, you're going to talk about like ray tracing and all this other crap, and I'm just like, whatever, like, sure, yeah, it's better, but is it better than the average consumer is going to know? Because again, I just flash back to like DVD or HD or whatever, where it's like Blu-ray, where like people would still use like the regular cables for their fucking HD shit, and it's like they would never know any better. So like, I'm hoping we finally reach that point with graphics, just purely graphics, where now they're having to look at like the load times, the quality of life issues, that kind of stuff, where it's like, okay, like
that's where they can improve
more than just exactly.
Well, I think when this generation came out, 4K was the hot new technology, and so that really influenced a lot of people's perspectives, and like we need to jump on this tech and be the forefront of 4K and all that stuff, and so like that I think really affected the whole graphics push and trying to make things more graphic oriented instead of performance.
Yeah. So I like the new implementation in console games for letting us choose frame rate or graphics. That's new this last part of the year, this last year, and I love that, and I really hope that's a feature going forward, because it lets people want that have that, and lets people that want the frame rate have the frame rate. And I just like that option. I mean, ideally I'd like both, to be honest with you.
When did that happen, Jim?
I think it was about a year ago, right?
Oh,
it really started coming into more games.
These come out?
Oh Jesus, yeah.
Sorry, I just got a busted your job.
Yeah, I know, but it's I just like having that in a console. Like, I like having that option, but I feel like you should have. I would love to just give me 60 frames and 4K, like in the next gen, and that's what I want. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's like in PC now where they're doing like 120 frames. They're like going nuts with these frame rates now, right? But
unlimited frames, Jim.
Yeah, I mean 60
unlimited.
Yeah.
But as far as the current generation goes, right? That's what the topic is. Like,
yeah,
I like this generation. I mean, I do think that it gave us a lot of stuff that I really enjoy now. We look back on, the 360 era is very highly. Obviously, there's so much great stuff there. I think that when we look back on this generation, maybe it's not as fondly, but I do think there's a lot here that I'm really, I was really glad that we got
a lot of stuff. I just feel like
we got a lot of stuff, but I feel like it came out after the like the mid cycle. Like,
no, I mean the first half obviously absolutely was very.
I feel like we haven't had much of a prime for this generation. Like we did have it, and maybe we're still in it, and that's kind of why I'm not super excited about moving on to a new one because
I think the last 2 years.
I mean,
I feel like it took extra long to get here, and now we're ready to move on. And I'm like, all right, well, okay, it better be worth it because again, like. I've been on this streak lately of like these incredible sort of single player games from this generation. Whether it's, we went through them all. Even Witcher 3, which I didn't buy into immediately, and I'm like, oh wait, this is like a real big thing. I see it now. And it was early this generation, that game too, compared to the other ones. Not really, like 2015.
Well, you also got your Batman game as well.
Oh yeah, this is great, and I wasn't sure it would be like this early on, but we'll see going forward. I am just the tail end here. That the trend, at least going from the end of this to the new one. Another one that I'm looking forward to is crossplay becoming standardized.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we did get that.
Batman Arkham Knight, like one of the first games. It's like, oh, this is not on PS3.
Yeah. So it was, and you could tell basically with the destructible like Batmobile environment stuff, like, and I mean it actually holds up visually, that game right now still. So
it looks it does look pretty good still. I've seen some recent stuff.
For me, one of the bigger things is like I'd say maybe we had greater games in terms of like individual like releases, like RDR, God of War, SpiderMan, whatever, but they're fewer than like we're getting better games but fewer games, if that makes sense. And I'll like to like look at like the 360 PS3 gen. You got 3 Mass Effect games. You got 2 Dragon Age games.
Yeah, you could have sequels that fit within the same generation.
Right. You got 3. Was it 3 Batman games?
You had trilogies. I mean, not 3 Batman games, but you had.
You did.
Oh,
you had
Origins.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's still a game. Like I'm just saying. Like
I know. But I was talking like we had closings of trilogies. I mean, like
3 Uncharted games.
Yeah, you got 3 Uncharted games.
Yeah.
How many was it? 3 Halo games? 3 Reach. 4?
Reach 4. Yeah. 4 looked amazing. I remember that.
4 and Reach. Yep.
Yeah. So you had all these like, games coming out at a steady pace.
Well, I mean, how long was it? 8 years we had with.
That helps again.
Yeah, but what's the average? What's the average for that?
Right.
But Mike, here's the thing for me looking forward to the generation coming up. I feel like there's so much quality of life things we can have that I'm hoping they give us. And that's where the improvement's going to be.
I'm not sure like what that is though. Like just the load time. Like
load times, faster getting into your games. Like you can pop a disc in, sure it has to install, but you play it automatically. Like you get in and play it the second you pop the disc in.
Some of those, some games do are starting to do that now. Actually, I've noticed that.
You'll be able to do that easier and have that more often. And I understand that some games can start to do that, but these systems aren't capable at some point of hardware to be able to support that, especially with a bigger game. So, I mean, Red Dead had some pretty big load times, in my opinion. I mean, that was one of them that had frustrating load times in certain things.
What I'll say, another point that was really frustrating was just the hard drive space required for a lot.
Yeah, that needs to improve.
Doom was like 20% of my fucking PlayStation 4 hard drive. I was like, really? Like I have to clean up shop for one fucking game? And the thing is, like, I think half of those assets were just for the multiplayer, which I never even touched. Like, why install
the other thing also is like, you had to have like double the amount available or something.
You couldn't just have like
like this game is 10 gigs and I have 12 gigs. I can't download it because I need like the extra
it needs to
space
install and then it needs to write or whatever.
It needs to zip it out or whatever. It's like, come on.
Yeah, it was that's where I'm saying they can improve a lot of this, and stream downloading,
obviously
install.
There's always room for improvement. I mean, we know that.
So. And then other gripes I had. This is more so PlayStation, obviously. I mean, it did affect Xbox initially, but they came around on it. But the lack of backwards compatibility, I know for you guys is not a big thing, but like there was no reason that like PS1 classics that I downloaded and paid for on PlayStation 3 couldn't do that on PlayStation 4. There's like absolutely no reason. I'm just like, okay, well, you're just telling me to not ever buy your digital download.
I mean, that's one of the reasons I still haven't bought digital like PS1 classics because of that fact. You're right. I mean, it's something that that's frustrating to me because like I have Vagrant Story on PS3, but
yeah, exactly. I've Suicune 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, I have those too, and I can't play them because my library is obsolete from that.
Yeah, and not to mention that, but like also to a lesser degree, the controllers. Like I can understand with like PlayStation 4 games that required, I guess, the light bar or the touchpad, but like how many games really require that? Like how many games could you have just been fine using a PlayStation 3 controller?
Yeah, exactly. Well, not many people use that touch pad thing, and the battery life.
The controller is still a better controller. I mean,
that battery life
sucks.
Of
the controller, I think
that battery life sucks.
I could have gotten rid of the light bar. I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. But coming into the generation when you just bought the $400 system, I'm assuming you bought at least one $60 game, and then having to spring another like $65 for the controller because that was what it retailed for originally. Like. That's kind of like for somebody that's like, oh, yeah, let me try out this new game with you. It's like, okay, cool. Well,
yeah.
I don't have the controller yet because that's next page.
They were expensive.
It's going to be the same thing.
No, I know.
Well, but I still would like to see better battery life on the DualShock 5 or whatever the hell.
Well, sure, battery life. That's one thing. I'm saying, like, talk about price though. Like, you're still going to spend like $60 to $70 on controllers.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is.
Yep. All right. So I think that's.
Well, do you have like highlight, low light? Do you want to just like mention real quick?
I mean, highlight for me, I think SpiderMan that's the most recent memory for me, and I understand like just that was SpiderMan swinging through the city, being able to realize what this power of this generation actually had to give us that game. So for me, like that was awesome. And even to a point, I would say, believe it or not, I would say that PSVR for what it is, I know that it's impressive that they can do that in that price, and it works. It's cool. It's just an experience. It's not a game yet, and that's the problem I have with VR. But it was really cool experience. I have to say that. So I do appreciate that. For low points, I mean, obviously the generation of delays. I mean, that's really it. So that's for me. But Mike, what about you?
My highlight's probably this last year again with that stretch of single player games from these systems. With the God of War, followed by Witcher, followed by Red Dead and Spider-Man, and then Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Like it took me pretty much through this whole year up until now, basically, when I was playing Injustice 2 before that. So a full circle. That was also a highlight too, Injustice 2, just for me, just how they pulled everything together for me there. So again, like if you haven't noticed in the last year or so, I'm not watching too much. I'm playing games nonstop because it's not even close for me at the moment.
Yeah. Corey?
Yeah, I mean, echoing the same kind of thing with just Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon have been real highlights for these this generation, and that's on the Sony side. Obviously, but I do like the iteration on the system. I think that was great that they actually gave us a more powerful system midway through and not like, well, we're just going to stick with this old hardware and it's not.
Yeah, I really, for me being, I've never hidden the fact that I do like Microsoft's consoles. I really hope that this gives them a direction for their next system because they really found their stride with the X console. Yeah, I really hope that they learn from that. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for.
Oh yeah, and then obviously low light would be just the slow start and not coming out strong and having games ready to go to take advantage of what these systems offer.
I would like to add one more low for me would be Microsoft's IPs.
Yeah.
I mean that was bad this generation. That was bad. That was just they failed. I mean that's a failure grade.
I have a general low light of how everything is moving closer to always online for real.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not
Yeah, I
quite
know.
there, but it's doing it.
I mean, streaming games is going to happen.
In, a few months, the highlight's obviously going to be
Yeah.
Borderlands 3, but
Yes, yes. Tony, what about you?
Yeah. Well, speaking of Borderlands, last gen you got what 3 Borderlands games, right, Corey? Compared to 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just pointing out like the rate is just another straw.
Yeah.
So,
no, I didn't get any yet.
yeah, exactly. For me, the low point. The biggest was just like the slow start, slow launch, slow to get any kind of game, like just up and running. Like I was just waiting for one of the two. It's like
that Rocket League really came out at the perfect time because
that was a perfect storm.
I guess that's also
else.
kind of a highlight for this generation, since I'm still playing that game and I've had it since the beginning.
Yeah. But I mean, like, just not like it just amazed me that both Sony and Microsoft, between the two of them, didn't have like one, in my opinion, systems like you need to get this game. Like you want to experience next gen, get this game. It was like Dead Rising 3 and that Roman Empire, whatever fucking bullshit game, and like PlayStation then launched with like what Killzone and Knack. It's like really like this like the last generation was like 8 years long, and you guys couldn't get anything else out in this time. But not only that, like it took an additional like year or so to like just come out. It's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And it was just like such a dark time because the Wii U is like absolutely dead. So it was just like gaming just like fucking in the shitter right now. But the highlights have obviously been like the single player experiences, like you all had mentioned, which are great. We're getting fewer of them, but they're I guess better quality. For the most part. But for me personally, the return of Japanese companies, not Nintendo, was a big thing for me because for the PS3 gen, and Xbox 360, I felt like, oh, absolutely. It was a disaster for Capcom for the most part. It was a disaster for Square Enix. They came out with 3 Final Fantasy 13 games, which is fucking utter shit, et cetera, et cetera. And like now it's like all these great Japanese games are just falling out of the sky. Just like,
I mean, like
with them.
Konami's getting their shit. No.
Their
shit.
Phantom Pain. I forgot that. That was
They had the Metal Gear Solid 5. That's right. The Phantom Pain.
That was another game we all played and loved up until a certain point.
And it's not even like the game was incapable of doing it. We know, it was just external factors with Konami,
Konami screwed that. Fuck Konami.
That's such a huge thing. Is like I would have loved to see what Kojima's like final vision of that game would look like, because that like the game played was awesome. It
was a great idea. Yeah, we all enjoyed that. Every one of us enjoyed playing that game until that last chapter, like that last part. Where you're like, wait, there's more. Oh wait, this is just ending. Oh, you
like,
play
oh
wow. So
and like just in the past couple months, we got Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry 5. Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter coming back to consoles, Nier Automata. I mean, Final Fantasy 15, we give gripes, but I mean, I love that so much more than it. Yeah, like it had highs and lows, but it's way better than anything 13 shit out. Namco, Tekken, Return of Soul Calibur. I think it's really cool. So I'm glad to see the Japanese developers, finally caught up. So
All right, cool. I think that's going to wrap up 446 of the Gamecast. Thanks for tuning in. Write us podcast@allyoucangeek.net. Follow us on Twitter @allyoucangeek. Like us on Facebook. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, please. We appreciate it. Tune in next week. More topics coming your way. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it.